This is David from the Fredcast. We're live from the show for INTERBIKE TV, and I'm with Gary Fisher, and we're looking at the Rumblefish29ner.
That's right. And this bike, this is the bike you take. You're out in Moab. You're out in someplace big. You know, you want to go on a 40-mile ride. You got a lot of territory to travel, and yet there's some big stuff.
Yeah.
This bike is your friend.
Okay, so tell us why that is.
Well, it has 120 millimeters of travel up front, Fox shock on it, you know, with the tapered steer column. Sure. Goes to 1.5 inches down here. 15 millimeter through axle. And of course, we went to the APV pivot in the rear. It's 110 millimeter travel in the rear. And with the DCRV shock, okay, which is it's an air shock that behaves a lot more like a coil shock. It features a shaft in the middle of it that goes in about halfway through the stroke and activates this second chamber. And this was developed with Fox Shock and Jose Gonzalez. And I'll tell you, that shock is the king. That's the stuff.
Because up until now, people have really felt that unless it's got a coil spring, you're not going to get the responsiveness you're looking for.
Well, yeah. I mean, air springs had real problems, you know, especially the way they'd ramp up in the end and the way they had sort of a hammock sensation in the center and everything. And this puts a vast improvement on the air shock. It makes this bike, you know, it's still a reasonably light bike. And with the new features, like we use a Scandium rim and 29er, and we got new tires from our new tire designer, Al, who's incredible. What a rubber guy. This bike is, you know, it's that bike you want to take on that long distance, big nar stuff, you know. Takes the nar stuff and makes it happy.
So it's your nar bike. Let's talk for a second about the rubber, because I think tire design is kind of a lost art.
Tire design, there's a lot more in it than you see on the outside. You know, people look at tread patterns and then they forget about everything that's in that tire and really makes the thing work right. Yeah. It is a science, and we get closer and closer to each subject, and it becomes more and more apparent that we need the absolute expert. And I talked about Jose, I talk about Al. They're all people. They're all people working within our company, and there are some rock stars and some superstars in that company that are making things come true.
Really nice. And it's all in the Rumblefish29ner from Gary Fisher. This is David from the Fredcast. We're live from the show for INTERBIKE TV.